Hi, I'm Leah Jantzen, a triathlete, speaker, mom, and peak performance mindset coach. As the first ever mental health and performance coach in a U.S. high school, I specialize in helping young athletes unlock their full potential. With my experience in youth sports and as a mom, I'm here to provide practical tools to help young athletes thrive, no matter the challenges they face. Welcome to Youth Inc. I was watching a basketball game the other day from the stands, and a parent approached me about a situation they were dealing with. They were complaining about their daughter who was constantly coming home, feeling picked on. Her coach was being overly critical, singling her out during practices and games. Unfortunately, this happens a lot, and I hear this from many parents about how coaches are not treating their children fairly, or they feel they're being picked on. I came up with these 3 strategies for helping your child deal with a difficult coach. All right, so strategy number 1 is to separate the tone from the message. The coach's delivery may be packaged in a way that your child might not like. They may be yelling, they may be screaming, they're overly demonstrative and having antics. But behind that delivery might be a really good message. And we have to try and separate the 2 things. What is the coach really trying to tell you? So I would ask my child, what are they saying after they're screaming? And if you put that aside, maybe what they're trying to tell you could be something very important. And we have to make sure we don't lump the 2 together and we just dismiss it because we don't like the package it's coming in. People teach, coach, supervise, lead in all different ways. We have to be able to decipher between the good and the bad. Take the best and leave the rest, as I always say. So make sure you tell your kid, what are they really trying to say behind all the screaming? Don't just dismiss them because you don't like the way it's being delivered. Strategy number 2 is I would tell my child to make sure you continue to control what you can control. That means showing up to practice on time, having a good attitude, being a good teammate, listening, being coachable, hustling, giving the effort. You don't want to react to the way the coach is acting. You want to continue to be consistent as a player, because what happens is the coach yells or screams, the athlete decides, I don't want to deal with this, and their attitude starts to shift. So now the coach is going to say, well, he has a bad attitude or she has a bad attitude. If you can find a way to continue to show up as the athlete you want to be, despite the coach's behavior, then you will find what the coach is trying to show you. And it won't be about how you're acting. It'll be about how the coach is acting. So it's really important for athletes to not use the coach's behavior as an excuse to slack off. So I would make sure my athlete, if it was my child, they would show up every single day the way they are supposed to, with attitude, effort, all the things they can control to the best of their ability. The 3rd strategy for helping your child deal with a tough coach is helping them understand that developing a thick skin is an important part of being an athlete. Not only is it important that you get constructive criticism and take it in and use it to your advantage, but we also have to get used to being criticized. Most athletes are really good at their sport and they're used to being praised for what they do, especially when they're little and in the younger leagues. And then when they get up into the junior varsity and varsity, they don't like being criticized. So it's something that a lot of athletes have to get used to. But again, if you can look at the positives of what the coach is trying to tell you, and most of the time they're giving you their criticism because they believe in you. They feel you have potential. And if you just listen to what they're trying to say and develop a thicker skin, you're going to get a lot more out of it. Okay, I've given you 3 strategies you can use and also a helpful reminder for parents on how to discuss the situation and create a healthy balance at home. Now I want to talk about briefly how this happens in real life. I had this situation a couple years ago with a softball team, and there was a coach that the team felt was always yelling, was constantly negative. They were reacting to his behavior. If they struck out, they looked at him and he threw his helmet, and it was starting to affect the team's performance. Instead of joining with the team as much as I wanted to support them and be in their corner, I just asked some important questions to have them look at the coach differently and maybe change their perspective. Questions like, what does coach do to make you think that he really cares about you and the team. And they would cite examples of how every Saturday morning he would buy everybody bagels. And he always did a charity game every spring, the charity of their choice they got to pick, and all the proceeds from the game went to this charity, and what a generous gesture it was. So when I asked them what could they do instead of focusing on his negative behavior, after you strike out, don't look over at the coach. If you know he's going to react and you react to that reaction, then try and control your response and find different ways to deal with his behavior. Instead of blaming the coach all the time for their mistakes and errors, the players started to take accountability for themselves and take more responsibility for their actions. After these discussions, the girls approached practice with a renewed sense of purpose. They started to realize that they had way more control over the situation than they realized, and this generated and fostered a much better sense of team camaraderie, and also they bonded together because they realized it wasn't his fault and that they could control it. So they got closer as a team and they had a better relationship with the coach as a result. If you're looking for more information on situations like this, please feel free to visit my blog, The Car Ride Home, where I provide strategies, resources, and tools for navigating the challenges of parenting youth sports.